How's it going, garden people? Welcome to the Hidden Gardens. It's grape pruning day, and while we're at it, we're also going to tackle the clematis that surround the raised bed garden area. And in continuation of naming garden spaces, this one is the Neverland Garden. If you've been thinking about growing grapes yourself, I would say now's a good time. Go head down to your local garden center and check out what they have in stock. While the grape is still dormant, is a great time to get after the pruning. You're able to tell which ones are the older canes, which ones are the newer ones. I have 3 types of grapes here. A red one, a Concord grape in the middle, and at the end here is a Lamont seedless grape. Grapes produce a ton of growth throughout their growing seasons, so now it's time to pick and choose what's going to stay, and the majority of it is going to go. Late winter, early spring pruning is preferred for grapes so that you can see where the buds are. You can kind of tell what's new growth from this past year and what's old growth. There are actually quite a few methods to pruning grapes, but it kind of comes down to 2 main ways, which is spur pruning and cane pruning. The grapes on the outer edges, this red one and the Lamont at the end, I'm pruning both in the spur pruning method, whereas the Concord in the middle, I'm doing a cane prune, but I would say definitely not your standard 6 foot in between 2 rails pruning, because I'm using the whole of the raised bed area as a place for the Concord canes to hang out and grow from up there. If you're looking for a how-to, there's plenty of YouTube videos as well as lots of literature on grape pruning. It's actually a whole thing, and it's definitely a nice garden path and fun rabbit hole to follow down. But as for me, I just kind of get in there and slowly start from one end to the other and work my way along, and eventually I get to the main canes that I'm keeping, or the spurs that I'm hoping to get grapes off of for this year. These 2 clematis that are up here flowered spectacularly, and they're such pretty flowers. It's so pretty to walk under. Really enjoy it. And the big jumbled mess that was here before is now gone, and I've narrowed things down to about 4 canes for the Concord and a bunch of spurs for the other ones. Like I said, not very traditional, but for me it's fun, and I like to experiment and check out how things are going to go. The birds did get quite a few of the grapes last year, so hopefully I can get on top of things and get some before the birds do, but if the birds pick them off, that's fine too. You can see the spurs up there, so hopefully grapes will grow off of those spurs. And this one in the front right here is the Concord cane coming off of the main plant. Regret leaving that cane there, but we're just going to go for it for now. If it does get too heavy or in the way of these blueberries for shadowing, I'll just take it out mid-season. I use isopropyl alcohol to sanitize my clippers, and here is the majority of what we took out today. I did save this pile, so maybe I can make like a wreath or a wattle fence or something out of it. And on to the clematis pruning. I have quite a few clematis around. I'm not sure as to which ones are which in regards to types. I do know that Erin from the Impatient Gardener does have a couple of videos on clematis pruning, so if you're looking for more of a how-to, definitely look her up and give her videos a watch. How I approach it is I look for the buds such as this one, which is a beautiful clematis, this is Josephine. And over here we have the diamond ball clematis, so you can see there's some buds sticking out. So I'll take off the dead canes what I can and cut back what I need or want to. So I've lightened the load up on this diamond ball clematis. There's also another one, a newer one at the end of this path. And there's quite a few different varieties mixed and intermingled. And they almost always grow up from the ground as well. So if you mess up on it, you'll probably be okay if you're doing it early enough anyways. The tie-dye clematis shown right there is probably one of my favorites, but I do have quite a bit of the clematis posted to my shorts and such, so if you want to go check those out, then you'll be able to kind of see what a lot of these flowers look like. This season should be a pretty decent one for the flowers, especially since the clematis that I transplanted last season will be able to have a nice full growing season, and I should get some really nice flowers from those. So I'm pretty pleased as to how much I was able to get cut back and trained. I'm looking for pretty much a balance when it comes to training the grapes and as well as growing the clematis, at least as far as color and clematises that are climbing up as compared to bushy ones, balance on both sides of the walkways. And my garlic is also starting to come up, so that's exciting. I was a little worried there for a little bit, but everything's popping up in all the beds that I've put garlic in, both hardneck and there is a variety of softneck, so that's really exciting. We've got the First Lady clematis and the Duchess of Edinburgh. Not sure if I'm saying that right, but it's a beautiful, beautiful white flower. A little bit of green in it. Oh, super pretty. So while the raised bed area is still gonna need some work and pretty much a good overhaul, I may move a few things up and around and such, but the clematis themselves and the walkways I plan to keep where they are, regardless of where and what I'm moving around them. It's actually pretty cool that the softneck variety is coming up, because I took the cloves from the softneck variety that I grew last time, and I took the cloves from the bulbs that I made this last season, and now they're coming up again, so that's spectacular to me. As you can see, I have many varieties of clematis. They're definitely one of my favorite plant to grow in the gardens, and there's so many different varieties and so many beautiful, beautiful flowers. Absolutely unbelievable. What I particularly like is that you can train them up, so you can kind of plant them fairly close to each other, even to the point where, as you can see, I have two clematises growing up the same close area or same trellis and whatnot. And I do have quite a few spots that are vacant and ready to be planted, which will be coming up soon. As for the trellising, whereas the grapes will pretty much hang on to anything that they can wrap around, the poles that are about as thick as your thumb or so, clematis plants have trouble climbing onto that. So they really prefer something thinner, where these butterfly trellises, they'll climb onto those and they'll hang onto those much better than they will the poles for the archways. Now I could put bird netting or fishing wire even to kind of help these clematis climb up above here, but I found that they usually get up there pretty well if you help guide them as they're growing. These Mr. Bowling balls look a little rough, but we'll cross our fingers for those poor arborvitaes in the pots and hope that they start to perk up and look a lot better. They're not dead because they definitely still have some green in them, but fall planting for me is just meh. I prefer spring planting because at least then I can get them established and watered and keep an eye on them. When it's winter, I don't tend to want to come out and do any watering or keep an eye on anything. It's just cold. And here you can see that vine is coming from the Lamont over to the side, so we'll see if I can kind of get it to grow a little bit further. And I was excited to find that this Danielle Clematis is still alive and still growing. I was worried about that when I thought I'd lost it. So high five, that's cool that it came back. It's very simple but very pretty purple flower, Danielle Vancouver. And the strawberries are starting to come back in these back beds. So I'll have to do some more cleaning up, and I'll fertilize with berry tone. As you can see, we've got some blueberries perking up as well. And here in the greenhouse are some clematises that are already budded up, and I'll be planting these soon. So I hope that this video inspires you to get out there and check out all the fun things to grow in your garden and inspires you along your gardening journey. And thank you for coming along on mine.